Welcome back. Okay, so today we're unpacking a really fascinating, honestly kind of invisible world in this explainer. I mean, think about it. Literally no one wakes up in the morning and thinks, man, I really hope someone manipulates me today, right? We absolutely despise the idea of being controlled or taken advantage of. But what if I told you that we actually walk right into these traps completely voluntarily? And worse, we often pat ourselves on the back for doing it. So today, we're going to break down the hidden mechanics of human behavior so you can finally take back control of your everyday choices and interactions. Let's get into it. It's a pretty heavy question, isn't it? Are your choices actually your own? Well, to answer that, let's picture a scenario we can all relate to. Imagine you're walking into a local telecom shop. Maybe you just need a quick mobile recharge or a basic data plan. You go in with a strict budget. You know exactly what you want. But then, you look up at the pricing board. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what happens the exact second you compare these two options. On the left, Plan A, 299 rupees for 1.5 gigabytes. That was your original budget, right? But boom, right next to it is Plan D, 349 rupees for unlimited data. Instantly, this little inner voice chimes in. Your brain automatically starts justifying it, saying, well, look, I'm already spending around 300 bucks anyway, so why not just drop a tiny bit more for unlimited? You probably don't even need unlimited data, but you make the upgrade anyway. That tiny 50 rupee difference just completely bypassed your logic. And hey, this isn't just massive corporations playing games with us. This literally happens everywhere. Think about your local street food vendor. He sells one samosa for 7 rupees, but he offers 2 for 10 rupees. You only walked up to that cart wanting a single samosa, but you leave with 2, entirely convinced that you just snagged a fantastic bargain. You're completely oblivious to the absurdity that your brain just got successfully hijacked over a 3 rupee difference. You see, you didn't actually make that decision. The decision was elegantly made for you through the decoy effect. It's a pricing strategy that carefully designs options to manipulate you into automatically spending more, all while making you feel like a brilliant, smart decision maker. But listen, this illusion of choice, it's just the very beginning. Over the rest of this explainer, I am going to break down 10 simple, incredibly powerful psychological tricks that give you hacking-level control over your daily interactions. We're going to level the playing field. Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, Hacking Truth and Conversations, getting the answers you want effortlessly. This brings us to trick number 1, the Cunningham law. And honestly, this one is fascinating. See, when you ask people a direct question, they'll often dodge it, give you some vague non-answer, or just deflect completely. It's just human nature to be defensive. However, there is the secondary human instinct that is arguably way stronger. And that is the absolute delight we take in proving other people wrong. So here's how it actually works in practice. If you ask a classmate, hey, when is the exam? They might mumble that they aren't sure or haven't checked yet. But if you state a blatant inaccuracy, something like, the exam is at 2 p.m., right? Watch what happens. They will instantly jump in to say, no, it's at 9 a.m. This flawlessly exploits the human brain's overwhelming desire to correct mistakes. You get the exact information you needed, entirely effortlessly. Moving right along to trick 2, the head nod. Have you ever noticed how top-tier podcasters or really skilled interviewers will rhythmically nod their heads while they're speaking to a guest? They aren't just being polite, actually. The human brain naturally craves synchronization, so when you nod your head while delivering a statement, you are subconsciously signaling the listener's brain that what you're saying is true and agreeable. You're gently coaxing them right into a state of compliance. Now, trick 3 is an absolute classic, but man, is it underutilized. The name effect strategy. A person's own name is literally their most personal, deeply rooted psychological trigger. When you use it, you instantly grab their full attention. The framework here is super simple. Greet them with their name, like, hi, Rahul. Embed it naturally into a conversation. What do you do, Rahul? And always close with it. Nice to meet you, Rahul. This sequence makes the person feel highly valued, respected, and it just fast-tracks your level of importance in their subconscious mind. Moving to Section 2, Mastering Subconscious Body Language, Building Invisible Connections and Taking Physical Control. So, trick 4 is mirroring. Think about hanging out with your closest friends. When you sit together, you probably adopt the same posture, use similar hand gestures, maybe even match your speaking pace without even realizing it. Well, the crucial trick here is that doing this consciously with a total stranger creates a powerful psychological shortcut. If they lean back, you gently lean back. If they speak softly, you drop your volume too. Their subconscious mind immediately flags you as similar, which drops their defensive barriers and builds instant rapport. But hey, what happens when the physical dynamic is a bit hostile? Enter trick 6, the forehead focus technique. We have all dealt with someone, a harsh colleague, an intimidating boss, who tries to pressure us by locking onto intense eye contact to assert dominance. Next time this happens, deploy this technique. First, acknowledge the stare. Then, smoothly shift your gaze strictly to the very center of their forehead. It completely breaks the real emotional connection of eye contact and replaces it with this unnerving, calculating gaze. It creates such an uncomfortable, dominating presence that it almost always forces the other person to break character and back down. Let's move to section 3 and see how this builds into flipping the psychological script, using reverse psychology to shape perceptions. Trick 8 is the art of reframing. Let's say you arrive late to meet a friend. The default kind of weak phrasing is, "Sorry, I'm late." While it's polite, it shines a massive spotlight on your mistake, putting you in a deficit. Now consider the powerful reframing on the right. "Thank you for waiting." This is brilliant. You completely cover your error. You remove the negativity, and instead you validate the other person. You make them feel appreciated for their patience, entirely flipping the mood of the whole interaction. Now, trick 9 completely shatters a myth we've all been taught. We always hear that to make someone like us, we should do favors for them, right? Well, the Benjamin Franklin effect proves the exact opposite. If you want someone to warm up to you, ask them for a small favor. Literally something as simple as asking a colleague to lend you a pen. Why does this work? Because when they give you the pen, their brain experiences cognitive dissonance. It forces a justification. The brain says, well, I just helped this person, therefore I must actually like them. Their brain literally rewires its perception of you just to justify their own action. Crazy, right? Finally, we arrive at section 4, the power of true composure. Why silence and stillness are actually your greatest weapons. Trick 5 is simply the pause. When someone asks you if you can handle a project or complete a task, the immediate instinct for like 90% of people is to quickly blurt out, "Yes, absolutely." But rushing like that often signals to the human brain that you are eager to please and therefore slightly insecure. Instead, try this. Wait 2 to 3 seconds, look them in the eyes, and then calmly say, "Yes, I can." Kind of like the iconic character Thomas Shelby on screen, you know? Moving slowly and speaking deliberately dramatically increases the weight, value, and authority of your words. Calmness always radiates confidence. And trick 7 builds perfectly on that idea. Silence pressure. Imagine a friend flakes on going to the market with you and gives a really flimsy excuse the next day. If you immediately say, "Oh, it's okay, no problem," they get off the hook and will likely do it again. But if you look at them, simply say, "I see," and then remain completely, utterly silent, the pressure builds immensely. People absolutely hate silence. Their brain panics, wondering if you know the real truth. Under that intense psychological discomfort, they will almost always start rambling and eventually spit out the actual truth just to fill that awkward void. And finally, trick 10, reaction control. When someone tries to provoke you, insult you, or start an argument, they are actively fishing for an emotional reaction. If you get angry, raise your voice, or fiercely defend yourself, you might feel like you're fighting back. But actually, scratch that. You've just handed them the remote control to your emotions. You lost. But when you observe the situation calmly, remain quiet, and deliver a cool, measured response, you completely strip the manipulator of their power. By not giving them the reaction they crave, you maintain absolute authority over the dynamic. Which leaves us with this final, striking thought to close out our explainer today. People judge you by your reaction, not your situation. True psychological mastery doesn't come from just learning conversational hacks. It begins and ends with your own internal composure. If you control your reactions, you control the room. So are you going to react or are you going to respond? The next time someone asks you a simple question, ask yourself, who is really pulling the strings? Take that power back, apply these frameworks, and I'll see you in the next explainer.